guys? Welcome to episode 13 of High Above Courtside. I'm Anthony, and that's Steve. Our fearless leader, Jason, is off, saving lives today, pulling babies out of, burning cars or houses. Who knows? He's the hero, so who knows what he's doing, but he's, probably doing some good.
For sure.
We're going to recap the last week of Celtics action. It was an up and down week. We'll start off with the another Knicks annihilation on Sunday afternoon. Celtics end up winning 118-105. Steve, what are your thoughts?
Knicks have no shot whatsoever. Sorry, a little background noise. No shot against us. They just don't have the personnel. I mean, it's just Cat is the biggest problem they have. They're going to play drop, and Tatum's going to come off that screen. He's going to pull up for the three. If they're going to try to switch, Tatum's just going to hit that short roll or pass the long pass over. I mean, don't forget, Mikal Bridges cost them 5 first-round picks. OG Anunoby, they gave that dude 5 years, $215 million just to not stop our best players. Right. That's just absolutely hilarious.
And not score.
And not score. What did Mikal Bridges have? He had 14 points.
Garbage time minutes, 8. So essentially he had 6 points, no rebounds, 1 assist in regular action. 5 first-round picks for that guy.
And then also the Knicks needed Karl-Anthony Towns and Brunson to play all the third quarter just to get back into it and bring it to 4. And then once the Celtics started up and they brought the lead right back to 20 points, no problem. It just seems a little effortless for them. It's too hard for them to not have shooters out there. Like Josh Hart, Porzingis could just sag off him, and it just makes it real difficult for them.
Agreed. I mean, Josh Hart, he played 40 minutes. He had a triple-double, basically, 20, 11, and 9 on 8 of 14. Great numbers. But right, the Celtics defense, like they just put Porzingis on him, and he's able to just roam. If he hits 5 threes against you, whatever, you might lose, but that's not going to happen too often. So I mean,
he's minus 12 too, so let's not forget that.
Right.
Mikal Bridges minus 23, very, very funny.
Brutal. And I mean, I agree with what you say. Like the Knicks are just that prototypical team who will beat the crap out of all the the bad teams in the league. And then when they play a contender like the Celtics or the Cavs, I mean, we've all seen the stat, they're 0-7 against Celtics, Cavs, and Oklahoma City. I mean, they just have too many defensive weaknesses, and in Brunson too. Brunson and Towns are just brutal. You have 2 guys you can consistently attack. So even though Hart and Anunoby and Bridges, I guess on paper, are good wing defenders, it's just they're never actually guarding on the wing because you're just setting a high ball screen and getting a switch every time. So it must be demoralizing for Knicks fans. I don't know where they go from here. I'm not sure. The Knicks they're the 3 seed. They're pretty much locked into the 3 seed, right?
Yeah.
So and who's at 6 right now? Indiana?
Is it not Detroit?
I think Detroit's a game out of 4, or is it Milwaukee? Either way, I'm not sure the Knicks. Like, I respect the Knicks. I guess the Pistons are tied for 5th with the Bucks. Pacers are the 4 seed right now. So I'm not sure the Knicks get past the Bucks or the Pistons in the first round, or the Pacers for that matter. Those are. I mean, they're not. It's not like a 4 or 5 game easy. That's a 6-7 game series either way for them. And then you got to face Boston in the second round. It's just it's too tall of a hill to climb for them. So I mean, I don't know.
Also, another thing is you just got to play discipline against this team. No fucking fouls against Jalen Brunson. Stayed down. He had no free throws whatsoever. Right. That's why his 22 points. He usually has 10 free throws, and then that puts him into the 30 range. If you just stay down on him, you play discipline. In the crispness on defense too, and the communication just looked amazing. It was just very crisp. I loved watching it. It was a bit. I was having a great time. I think all Celtics fans are having a great time.
Yeah. It was. I mean, it got out of hand early. Drew was great. You could feel the him coming back from a long layoff did him good in this game. And
Yeah,
right, I mean, it's the formula's there. It's just make Brunson, go 13 of 26, and even then, he's probably not beating you unless he's hitting 8 threes. It's like don't let Towns get hot and exploit those guys on defense, and it's just tough for them to get stops over a 48-minute game. Never mind a 7-game series. I'm not sure. As a Celtics fan, I think I'd like to be locked into the 2 seed because I want the Knicks in the second round. I know what the Knicks are. I know they're dog food for us. So it's that's who I want there.
Yeah, and every time you at least have a 20-point lead during the game. So it's not scoring on them's real easy. Shutting off the water on them's easy. They're barbecue chicken.
Yeah. Derek White was awesome too. D White made some big shots. There was one that I just want to point out I don't know if you remember I think the Knicks cut it to 4 and shot clock was running down. It was fourth quarter and someone gave him a grenade and what is up with him and being able to knock down grenades? Anytime he gets
he loves
a pass at the ankles or just some late shot clock, he knocks those down every time. And he hit that one to go back up 7, and then the Celtics went on like a 10-0 run, and it was before you knew it was a 20-point game again.
It was a triple-double there. 19 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists, 1 steal, shot 70% from the field, 5 for 6 from 3, only 2 turnovers, true shooting percentage of 95. This guy's unreal.
Well,
I mean, and then there was who else was
Jaylen was good in the fourth quarter too. The fourth quarter started a little wonky, and then he kind of did his thing going to the paint and finishing in transition, and which was huge because it felt a little wonky for a minute, and Tatum was on the bench to start the fourth. But so shout out to Jaylen for handling those minutes.
And it's great to see his mid-range coming back. His 2-point shooting has been up recently. 3-point shooting leaves a little bit there to be desired, but when he's shooting that well, especially like in times where you need that bucket, where he's just backing down, doing a little fadeaway J there action. 24, 8 rebounds. He's super engaged. 2 assists on that one. 2 steals. Great on defense. I mean, 10 of 21 from the field. Just 2 for 2 from free throws. You know how I love my free throws. Both teams went 11-11 from the line, so that was good to see. And then just to cap it off, Tatum 25, 10 and 9. He's playing unreal. The shooting's a little up and down right now, but overall, the team's firing on all cylinders. And dude, Luke Kennett, we need to get into him a little bit, but he's playing unreal. He's really solidified himself as the third center, and it's been, well, I guess depends on where Al's playing during that, but he's been lights out, and the big jams he's been having recently too.
Yeah, Luke is unbelievable, and we'll get into the other games coming up, and you felt his presence missed, against Toronto and against Detroit. He's just so steady. He makes the right plays every time. He hits the glass. He finishes around the rim. Like he has that 2-man game with Tatum that's like, unstoppable right now. And it's just what a revelation Luke is on a veteran's minimum. Unbelievable. Can't believe we still have him on that deal.
It's amazing. And I'm a little nervous. Like he may be playing himself off this team or into at least a bigger contract put on his plate to consider. But I won't think about that until the offseason. But it's great to have him, especially like you have Porzingis hitting daggers on you, and then all of a sudden you bring in Luke, like another 7-footer, and they're both great rim protectors. It's just great to see.
Right. So then we had Toronto Tuesday night. Strange game, a lot of guys out. We got Tatum at the 5 minutes, which in the Twitter world, that's a big deal. That's what people want to see, and he was pretty awesome. I mean, at least I think he had 9 assists in the first half.
Yes, he did
against Toronto, and it was the thing I liked about this game was Toronto kind of battled back in the second quarter. Well, the things I liked and disliked in the second quarter, Toronto kind of battled back. I thought Jaylen was awful in the second quarter handling the non-Tatum minutes, which is when Toronto kind of got back into the game. But give him credit, he was great in the fourth quarter in the non-Tatum minutes to kind of extend that lead and just push it far enough out that Toronto wasn't able to make a run. So, shout out to Jaylen for that. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, this is another instance where you're seeing Tatum taking over the responsibilities on both ends. He played the five on defense and playing point guard on offense. I mean, he had another game with 11 assists. Look at that. Ho hum, 19 points. I mean, he's really taking over. But what I like to see though is like all our other guys now are starting to hit shots. Sam put up 10 points in this. Torrey Craig had 4 points. Derek White with 22. He was 6 for 11 from three. It's just like that malaise, that little like 8-8 stretch during that time where everything was going to shit was just shooting. Shooting was the biggest problem, and it was boring for like us to come up here and be like, oh well, shots don't go in, yada yada yada. Well, that's what the reality comes down to. Like when your shots aren't falling, then it's not going to look as good. And that's when you see all those brick threes and people are like, oh, all this team does is shoot threes. But when we're hitting, we just broke a record for hitting 15 3-pointers in a row. What's it, like 13 games or something like that?
Like 14 games. I mean, whatever it is, it's the NBA record.
Yeah. And the only thing I didn't like about this, and obviously it's given because of no centers in there, but 68 points in the paint, it's a lot. Yeah. That is a lot. And I don't know what Joe was doing with that zone. I mean, it didn't look like it was working the best.
No, not at all. And he went to it again last night against the Pistons. We'll just jump right into that game too. I mean, same idea that Porzingis played, but the paint defense was, not there at all. And it feels like that's the way to beat the Celtics, especially when they're not locked in defensively. You can get at them in the paint. What are your thoughts on the Detroit game?
Porzingis played like ass. He just wasn't good. This was, what we hit 11 straight threes in the second or something like that to like. Oh no, not straight, but we hit 11
threes in the second quarter, which is ridiculous.
The only thing that kept us in this game, we hit like something like 12 twos. that was it. So it was just like they weren't giving it their all, and it's so blatant now when you see this team like locked in 100% on defense and offense, being intentional, deliberate with everything that they're doing, and then you just have this one where Tatum didn't even want to go to the hoop, and when he was doing good, but like he put up, how many threes did he put up? 4 for 9. He shot well in this game, but like you could just see like he was, we were just putting up the shots, and it was just, I don't know. It was also their Super Bowl, right? Like they were doing a great job being handsy with us, getting up. Their point of attack was high on us, making us work really hard. And dude, I love Cade. I think he's awesome. You didn't shoot the ball well this game, but he just has a great command of the game now. He knows where to put the ball on whenever the pick and roll, if you're gonna come up or if you gotta hit that short roll. He's really good to see.
Yeah, I am happy for Pistons fans. I like the Pistons a lot. This is a great story. 31 wins in the last 2 seasons, and they got 33 wins right now, not even March. Shout out to them and their fan base. Unbelievable. Cade is awesome. And right, it's gotten to the point where like you appreciate the nights where like it was clearly the Pistons Super Bowl, and it was just another February game on a second end of a back-to-back with guys out, and it was just like, okay, and you felt it right away that it was like, we're not going to bang in the paint with these guys. We're going to just try to outlast them and hit threes, and which they did for a lot of the game until late in the third quarter when it kind of got away. But it was really, for me, Tatum, Derek, and Peyton were awesome.
The only
nobody else was good. Drew was absolutely awful. You might be at the point where like, do we need to? Well, Drew didn't play against the Raptors actually, so he doesn't really have his shoots. I was going to say, don't play Drew on back-to-backs, but they didn't. So I don't know what his excuse is there, but Al was 3 for 10, 3 for 9 from 3, and Porzingis just was not locked in at all. He was getting beat off the dribble. He wasn't contesting shots at the rim. It was a pretty brutal game from him.
Yeah,
and also you got nothing. Yeah, you got nothing from the young guys that did play. Like Jordan Walsh gave you 15 minutes, no points. I mean, that can't happen. Hauser didn't have the best night.
Like
So it's
7 points from the young guys total. That was just, and they played, in the garbage time. The biggest thing here, dude, points off turnovers. They were just all over us. And I don't know what it is. Like, maybe we just don't get a good whistle. I mean, like, that's like green teamer, like goggles, like looking through. Because I always feel like people are like slapping us. Peyton Pritchard's had a cut across his fucking face because he got mauled, and they didn't know no call there. So, but they had 24 points off turnovers, 62 points in the paint, fast break points, 29. They were just running on us and just scoring at will. That it's kind of tough, right? Because when you don't have, when you're not locked in completely, they're just cracking us off the dribble, and you can't do that. You can't do that on the zone, especially if there wasn't communication either on certain switches. Like you just saw guys just olaying right to the hoop. Yeah.
And
So
Good for Detroit. Like that felt like one of those. I mean, they said it on the broadcast, and I said it out loud to nobody in my house during the game. That was the biggest regular season Pistons game in 15 years.
Malik Beasley was making like a show of it.
And as he should, like that's the Detroit Pistons. I'm 34 years old. They have not been good since 2004. Honestly, like they have just been horrible for almost 20 years now. And
I'm pretty sure their last playoff win was against us in like 08.
Right. Yeah, because I think
they made it a couple times, and with like the Blake Griffin years, and probably got swept as like an 8 seed.
Yeah.
So I mean, shout out to them. And I guess are the Pistons an actual threat to? Obviously, no one thinks they're winning the title or going to the finals or anything, but can they win a round in the playoffs? If they're the 4, 5, or 6 seed.
Do they have the series wins over New York? Because I think they could beat New York. I definitely see that.
I'd have to go look.
I'm pretty sure they have like the lead in that series, but I think they are, just because the defense that you saw last night, if they bring that every game in that intensity, it's very similar to like how frantic Indiana plays, like how like they're like, we suck at defense, we're just going to be awesome at offense and push the pace constantly. And if Detroit, they have great shooting, they just play super handsy on you. Asad Thompson, it's just so athletic, it's crazy. Tobias Harris is the LeBron James version of himself. It's great to see that for him. Apparently, that's what they needed. That was like their big hack, so him and Beasley, right? So like, I don't know. I think they're an actual threat. I do, because they can get up on you. And the 3-point shooting is, they said last night, was the equalizer for the Celtics. I think with Beasley, the way he's shooting the cover off the ball, it's a big equalizer.
Yeah, defense and shooting.
They have them both, so I think they can win a round. I think they can. I don't know. I don't like them again. I don't even know what the season series for these are, but like I feel like they'd be a better matchup for like they would. I think they have a better chance of beating Milwaukee rather than in Indiana, because I think Indiana kind of has that experience now. They're up and down. I think Milwaukee's a physical team, and so is Detroit. So I think that would be a fun series, and they're probably a better shooting team than the Bucks. I mean,
Cade's a mismatch for a lot of players, though, too. Like, he dominates the pick and roll. He can put you. Yeah. Like, a lot of the moves he was doing from the mid range kind of looked SGA-like. Like, he'd hit you with that, like, little forearm, that step back, and then just like that elbow line extended jumper. He's great to watch. It's awesome to see his development. Congrats to the Pistons on the Super Bowl win right there. But, hats off.
Malik Beasley is a beast.
Malik Beasley is a hooper. That guy, I think he's the second most made threes in the league this year.
Yeah. I said this on our pods last time. I was like, Malik Beasley's unreal. He shoots the ball. The crazy clip.
I don't have it in front of me. You might have seen it, but it was like, out of guys who have shot 42% for a season on 11 attempts or more a game, it's only happened 5 times in NBA history. 4 of them are Steph Curry, and 1 of them is Malik Beasley this season.
Hell yeah.
That's an unbelievable list to be on, dude. The dude is just a shooter. Like, I take him on my team any day of the week.
He averages 9.4 3-point attempts at 42.5%. Flamethrower. He's got a chopper on him.
Let's not forget that Milwaukee couldn't
make it work with him. Don't know how that happened, and they thought Gary Trent Jr. was going to be a better replacement. I don't know.
Do you think Malik Beasley give Peyton Pritchard a run for his money for 6th Man of the Year?
I think it's already like locked up.
So no, but he's second. So I mean,
Yeah.
I guess run for your money in that case, yes.
But
Yeah.
yeah.
But
So it's the
League
Pistons.
Beasley's unreal. Like he's had a 36-point game with 9 3-pointers, 17, 24-point game with 7 3-pointers, 24-point game with 6. Like he's another
I mean,
26
these are
plus 6.
Tough ones. Like he hit a few
Yeah.
last night that was like contest right on you. You rise up from 30 feet, bang. Like that's tough to defend. I mean, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
He had
I
that
mean,
hot stretch at the end of the third, early fourth quarter. He came off a couple screens and knocked them down. I mean, and he was up in like everyone else on the Pistons. I mean, he was being physical. His point of attack defense was awesome. So, I mean, good for them, man. And all this without Jaden Ivey. So, I mean,
yeah.
Also, shout out to
Tobias Harris, man. We crapped on him for how long? And turns out he just needed to get away from Joel Embiid, and he's actually a decent NBA player.
Turns out he just hates Philly. That's what he's 6 for 10 from the field, 2 for 4 from 3, 16 points plus 13, 9 rebounds. He was awesome. He was.
right. So
I should have him at the beginning of the season, and he just made me eat my words the entire season. Yeah.
He's awesome. And when he's on a
Decent contract. He's a good player. I mean, he's a big
Yeah.
wing who can do kind of everything and score from all three levels. So it's like that's valuable. So it's not $35 million a year valuable. It's like when whatever he's getting paid now is a decent contract. But before we get into the games this weekend, I just want to go off the cuff about
Tatum. Jayson Tatum.
He's finally starting. The national media is coming around to the same things we've been saying for a few years. But he's taken his game to a different level, especially this season, but the last few months especially, where he to me is now a top 5 playmaker and passer in the NBA. I mean, he's up there with guys like Jokic, with Luka, and him. Like, who is a better creator? He's a better creator than SGA. SGA might be a better pure shot maker in the mid-range, and he'll shoot a higher percentage. But he's not controlling the game and setting guys up like Tatum is. It's just like it's just at a different level where he feels like a guy who's not just dominating with his skill and athleticism and just that anymore. He now has moved into that, like he sees everything. You can't throw any coverage at him that he doesn't know. He's finding the open guy every time. He's defending 1 through 5. He's basically your point guard 80% of the game. I mean,
Yeah.
It's unbelievable to watch. And he's 27. Like, this is, when he's 31, what's this going to look like? And, like, guys like he has the scoring chops like some of these guys, but, like, Kevin Durant never had this in his game. Kevin Durant is a top 5 scorer of all time, top 10 player of all time. And he's never had the playmaking ability that Tatum has right now.
Or the rebounding.
Or the rebounding.
Or the defense, really. I mean, Durant is 7 feet, so he's always been a good defender, but he hasn't been. I mean, Tatum is your best defender. And for a team that's been a top 3 defense for like 5 years now. So, I mean, I'm glad that he's finally getting some flowers from the national media.
I mean, the only thing SGA does better than him is score. I mean, Tatum has about the same assists, 6.2 to 5.8. He's more efficient. Tatum dominates on the rebounds, 8.7 to 5.2. So, like, it's just the scoring. And I don't understand why this kid got dubbed, like, so much more accomplished. Like, the next Jordan, they're saying now. They moved from Edwards now to SGA just because they want someone to be it. Like, it's kind of maddening. I saw a great graphic the other day, and I'll read this off. Here's the parameters for accomplishments through age 26 season. You need to have 13,000 points, 4,000 rebounds, 2,000 assists, 6 All-Stars, 3-time All-NBA first team, and a champion. Only one person has done all of those, but here's a couple players for you. Kevin Durant, 13,000. He got no, he didn't hit the rebound mark. He hit the assist mark, the All-Star mark, the All-NBAs, and no champ. Michael Jordan hit all those except for the rebounds and the champ. Kobe Bryant's the closest one, has all those except for the rebounds. LeBron, another close one, has all those except for the championship. But guess who at the top has all of those? Jayson motherfucking Tatum.
Oh, that's crazy. I would have guessed it would have been him and LeBron. I can't believe LeBron didn't do that. Unbelievable.
No champ before 26?
True. True. Okay, so
The only
that's
thing.
the one.
That's the one
Right.
thing that holds him
I
back.
mean, like, yeah, and that's what it's been so maddening for so long that it's like you see it, and it's like people that don't watch the team every day want to deny it because they tune in one night and he 8 for 20, and they're like, "Oh, he's shooting 45%. Like that's terrible. Like what are you talking about?" I mean, this guy couldn't make a shot in the playoffs, and he was still by far the most impactful player on the Celtics. When he was off the court, we were like 10 points per possession worse. Like
Yeah.
he won a championship while not being able to throw it in the ocean, and like
He's not
people use it right. People use that against him when it's
Yeah.
like it should be the inverse. Like, wow, if this guy has a hot month in the playoffs, like he doesn't need to score to be the most effective guy on the court for the Celtics.
And
So
that's why he's the
if you
Swiss
get a
Army
hot
knife
month, right?
of our era. Then before that, the Swiss Army knife was fucking LeBron James.
Right.
Most points scored in NBA since January 1st, 2020. Well, Jayson Tatum. Jayson Tatum with 10,257. Next is Giannis. Next is Jokic. Next is Doncic. SGA all the way down at 8th at 9,000. I mean, this guy, even though he's like a kind of a streaky shooter, he's still putting up all those points that you need him to do. What's like the most famous LeBron stat line that he's known for? 27, 7, and 7. This kid's at 27, 8.7, and 5.8. I mean, that's the most versatile player in the NBA. Another thing about SGA is like he's maybe the 4th best defender on his team. Like he gets a lot of steals, but like he's not covering everyone that Jayson Tatum's covering. So it's a little frustrating at times, but I think it's starting to come around. I think people just know that he is a lightning rod for content, and they love playing with his name.
Right. But he's that guy that
You're gonna look back on when he's 35 and say, "Oh my God, like this is a top 10 career, maybe all time." You know, depending on how many titles he can get, and it's like, you know, I try to tell fans all the time, like, enjoy it while he's here because he's not gonna be. You don't these guys like this you don't draft them every year. This is a generational type player, and you know I'm glad he's finally getting his flowers. And I do feel a little bit bad for SGA because, like you said about the Ant stuff, like he's a darling of the NBA right now. He'll probably win MVP, but like he loses in the second round, or even if he doesn't, you know, even if he loses in the finals, they're gonna flip that on him. It's gonna be he's a huge disappointment and blah blah blah, which isn't fair to him either. He's a great player. He's awesome, you know. So it's just national media.
Yeah, let's not forget he's the one who fouled PJ Washington on that in the playoffs. So like that's kind of like his fault.
Let him know. Let him know. They should have won. But I mean, 1 seed last year, and they lose in the second round to a 5 seed. You're the best, one of the best teams in the league this year. You better not lose in any round, really. You better not lose you better not get smoked in the finals. Like you got to make the finals this year, especially if you're winning MVP, or else the narrative is completely going to turn on him. Which
let's not forget though, like 2 All-Stars, Dort and Caruso, most likely in All-NBA defense talks. Chet, when completely healthy, and if he made the games played, that's a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. You have reigning Coach of the Year. Was Dagnall Coach of the Year last year? Yeah. So I mean, like that's a super team over there. So there's no real excuses, especially with the point differential they have. There's only been like one other team that's like lost with like as high point differential they have. Same thing on the Cavs side. Potential Coach of the Year. They have Mobley, who may be Defensive Player of the Year between him and Jackson. I think right now that Wemby's hurt. Garland and Mitchell. Who was it? Did they have another All-Star? I think it was just those 2, right?
I think we just have to.
Yeah. And then you have Allen. Like that team's stacked too. So all these other super teams that no one wants to crown them yet. We've only had 2 All-Stars. That's all we have on our team.
Right.
And then a big weekend coming
for the fellas.
Oh, big weekend.
Cavs Friday night, and then Nuggets after Sunday afternoon game, which everyone loves, for Denver coming to town. I think it's more of a measuring stick. I mean, it's a big game for Cleveland. They, just like Detroit, Cleveland needs to win. And
they need to prove
that they could beat the Celtics, especially on the road. So we'll see what happens.
You think Hunter's going to be that big of a deal for them, covering Tatum and Brown and all of them?
I think he's a big deal
defensively. I think he's a better shooter than Karis LeVert, and that's a way bigger deal. The Cavs, they should have the best 3-point percentage in the league as a team. They live or die by the 3, just like we do. So
Yeah.
I am scared of the Cavs because they can shoot the shit out of the ball. So like I don't think they can stop us consistently, but you can get hot for 4 out of 7 games and have the Celtics could get cold for 4 out of 7 games, and it doesn't really matter what the defense looks like on either side. So they're a threat, and tomorrow night should be fun.
It's gonna be dope. I can't wait. But I think that's what happened in Detroit. They were just looking at this weekend like we got some big measuring stick games to look forward to. Yeah, I think we win both these games. I don't know about you, but I think we do. I also like
Get up for these big games against the good
exactly.
teams.
And
So.
I think they're gonna like they hear, 'cause, dude, our guys are really online. Like they hear all this chatter. They have people in their ear telling them this shit. So I think they're gonna get up for it. You're gonna see whether it's scoring or big rebounding or in transition or moving the ball around, high assist game. It's gonna be like definitely a margins game. You're gonna have to win those margins and stay disciplined with tendencies.
Agreed. All right, guys.
I think that'll do it for us. Don't forget, like and subscribe. Tell your friends. Tell your family. Until next time, we'll catch you guys soon.
Peace.